once again to discuss things. Oh yeah, it's terrible. No one has it worse than us.
I know. And on that note, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I'm Sid Part 2, joining me today is Justin Cristelli. Woe is
Hello.
he, the real Manos.
Hello, how are you doing?
Oh, not nearly as bad as you, sir.
I know. No one has it worse than me.
Yes. So we're continuing our fan film reviews today, and Manos, what did you choose for us to review today?
I chose Laura X23 fan film.
Yeah, so funny story, and this is kind of a little bit of shade to be thrown at the piece, but not too much. People that want to make X23 fan films, great, cool, fine. Name them something else besides Laura X23 fan film, because there are like 4 of those. And you know, generally when you think about it, like, there are a lot of Batman fan films. Very few of them in this day and age just go by Batman fan film. You know, they usually, you know, titles are important.
Yes.
Just gonna throw that one out there. It's not a huge criticism. Like, you know, you made your thing. You said your piece. That's fine. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Stand out from the crowd. Titles are good.
That's a common problem I've seen with fan films. This character specifically, yes.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because, like, the way this is like a criticism that I probably wouldn't have come to if not just for the way we do the show. Where man, it's just like, yeah, we're gonna review Laura X23 fan film last week. I'm like, okay, I can remember that. And then I search for it, and I get like 4. I'm like, oh, well, that's an interesting problem. But anyway, I found this fan film interesting because it's one of those that was, like, it's the only video posted on the channel. So,
yeah.
Like, I can't open this episode with a trailer even, and I can't find out anything else about this. At least from going over the channel, I can't find anything else about this out. Which is, I don't know, it's kind of cool that they're wanting it to just stand completely on its own in that way. But I don't know, what are your general thoughts on it, sir?
I thought it was pretty well made. It's very obviously made to be a continuation or companion to the Logan film in the style of the film. It's shot, and of course, you know, the alt-right type of villains that she's fighting, and there's really not much of a story with it, and we'll get into that. But I don't think that's the focus of this fan film, because you'll notice a lot of fan films will focus on a particular talent that the filmmakers will have. They'll want to show off their writing technique, their actors, their filmmaking, their special effects, and that they wanted to really show off their I think their stunt work.
I'd say stunt work and makeup.
Stunt work, makeup, it's pretty good makeup, you're right. And also their fight choreography. Fight choreography's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think it's fairly well shot.
Yeah, it's well shot. It's a really great production, I think is the best way to say it. Everything behind the camera that you're not, quote unquote, supposed to notice, the invisible work is really solid. You know, no music, great sound design. Really, again, solid makeup effects and effects integration. Because there are, I can call one digital effect here, and if it's not a digital effect, I'm even more impressed. I can call one digital effect here that I know for a fact was, and that's the dude's head on the ground. I have my suspicions that some of the blood spurts are digital, but that's just because I know how hard it is to do the splats really well practically, and it's just so much easier digitally.
Yeah.
So I've got my suspicions that at least some of the blood spurts from like her slashes and stuff are digital, if not all of them. But it's integrated so well that it doesn't really matter.
Well, I think the technology's gotten better. I mean, just a few years ago, you could like very easily see CGI blood splattering, even in professional films.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's weird because it's just on screen for a couple frames, but something about it can just grab your eye. And this, I've got my suspicions about it, and if I went through it frame by frame, I'd probably be able to tell you one way or another. But
Yeah.
as far as just seeing it twice now, it looks effective. It looks good, and that's what they're going for.
Hmm.
But yeah, this, it's not that it doesn't have a story, because anything's a story. I went to the market today. That's a story.
Yeah.
But it's that the story is like nowhere near the focus, to the point where there's a wider story around this and we're just not getting it, to the point where this is basically a scene in something wider.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know, I guess I try to, that's a fine line, obviously, because like you could argue a movie is just a scene in somebody's life or something. But like the way I tend to think about it is a story tells you just about everything you need to know within the piece, with very few conceits on your part of like what you have to know before you go into it. Let's say I'd never heard of X23 or the X-Men. I'm not going to have any idea what this is. This does not provide me any context whatsoever to who she is, what her powers exactly are. Like, it shows me that she has a healing factor, and it shows me that she's got these claws, but I don't get any sense that there are other mutants in the world just from this on its own. So it's interesting how much this wants you to know going into it, and how much this is predicated on the idea of other things existing around this.
You know, it's funny. When I was watching this, I was actually reminded of the last fan film we did, which was the Dumbledore film, which used a lot of prior information.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
That to the point where, not knowing that information going into that Dumbledore film, I was like, is this the end of a series or something? And I can imagine someone watching this without prior knowledge to, the Logan film or the or any of the X-Men movies, and go, what is this?
Yeah,
It's just a pre-credit sequence of something.
Definitely, that's a good way to look at it, because again, it does feel like a scene. This is like the prologue to the X23 movie, right? You could almost make it that, and it's not to say that it's not good or well done or anything, because it clearly is. It's well handled. They have a very limited scope of the kind of story they want to tell here, and I feel that's a smart decision to make a lot of the times. But when the details are so sparse, it's harder for me to get invested in it. And even then, they do a good job in, and maybe that's just me, but they do a pretty good job in investing you in this by just basic human empathy.
Yes.
This woman's being beaten and, apparently about to be raped, and then X23 comes in to save the day, and then she kills everybody else. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm into that. That's fine. I don't know. There's not much to talk about of the story beyond that. To contrast it with the Dumbledore fan film, that even if you don't know what's going on, you can clearly infer a lot more details about the story than I feel you can here. Like, I don't know who the hell these guys are.
Yeah, the Dumbledore film, it's funny how much I feel like comparing the two. The Dumbledore film had a lot of interaction between characters that are throwing exposition at you, or at least enough to get you invested in, there's stuff going on. This does not have very much dialogue in it. And,
I'd say all the dialogue in this is actually useless.
Yeah.
And
It's,
not in a
hey,
bad
are you,
way. Yeah.
yeah. Hey, are you dead? By the way, that's the funniest part when they're like, "Hey, Jeff." It's a fucking head, man. And I do also, I also love that moment where they turn and look back and they see her running. It's like, oh, damn, we're dead.
Yep. Oh shit. Yeah, that's definitely good. But yeah, it's interesting because I'm pretty sure all the dialogue that's here is ADR. I didn't get that the first time through, but second time I watched it with headphones, and so the audio quality is just a little too good, which makes me think it's ADR as opposed to live on set. And given the fact that you don't see anybody's lips really move, the camera isn't on anybody's face while they're talking for the most part. I think that might not be the case for the girl that gets her face slashed open.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no one really has the camera on their face, so I'm pretty sure almost all the dialogue's ADR. And I think that's just in there to make it feel more natural, because honestly, the dialogue doesn't explain anything.
That's a classic B-movie trick, too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a lot of old B-movies, and yeah, the ones that are really cheap use that method. Like, the Coleman Francis movies did that a lot. Like, there was a film, I think it's Red Zone Cuba, where there's this guy who's at a gas station. He pulls in at a gas station. He asks for help, and I'm watching this on Mystery Science Theater, and he pulls in, asks for help, and Mike, speaking for the gas station attendant, says, "Okay, as long as I don't have to speak on camera."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's just interesting because it's here, and it just makes it feel like things are happening, and it makes it feel natural, but ultimately the dialogue doesn't give you anything.
The problem with that technique is it works first time, but if you repeat watch something, you notice it more and more.
Yeah, that's a good point. So going off X-Men, we recently did a review of the first 3 X-Men films on the main show. And there's like that whole sequence where like the military is getting ready to take on Magneto at Angel Island. They like dub in generic military commander voice telling all the soldiers what to do, like pick up your plastic weapons, remove all metal, all dog tags, and then you realize like the shots, you never see the guy saying all this. That's all there just for the audience. So I don't know, it's interesting when like the ways it can be used, because it can be used like that to provide really cheap exposition, so that you don't have to be a good director to visually convey what's going on. Or it can be used here where it's just to make it feel more natural, like things are just happening more in a natural setting where, yeah, guys are going to come across a murder scene and be like, all right, this is all pretty fucked up. I don't know what's going on here. Like that's, I don't know, that just, it feels natural, but the visuals convey everything you need to know, which I thought was really cool.
Correct. This could have been completely silent and still be just as effective.
I don't know. For the most part, yes. Those guttural screams that she gives are really cool, and I don't think I would want to lose those.
Well, I mean, okay, maybe not completely silent, like silent. I mean, no dialogue.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because I do really like the sound design. There's a great moment in this when she's just tearing through everybody, and she kind of like drops down for a sec, and it's just her breathing kind of echoing. It's a really cool effect sound design wise, and it's just it's so cool. Works really well in headphones too.
I'm not sure if the decision to not have music was one done out of necessity or by choice. Either way, I think it makes the film a little more effect anyway.
I agree. I do really like the way the sound design plays in here. There's like, and then there's another moment like that where a lot of the sound of the action and the gunfire and whatever just drops out, and you just see the loved one's body. And it's like it just kind of gives a weight to what it otherwise might feel like kind of a dumb action scene.
Yeah.
So I really like that. There's a lot of really cool effective choices here that just kind of compound on top of each other because it's a really effectively choreographed fight. The visual effects and integrations working really well. The sound design's working really well on top of it. And then it's edited together in a really, interesting way that, can take that moment to pause and thus emphasize and embolden everything that you're seeing. So it's really cool editing technique.
I think you want to talk about what do you want to talk about next? I kind of want to talk about the actress.
Oh, go for it.
Okay. I was pretty impressed by the actress playing Laura. I forgot her name.
Laura. It's the name of the fan film.
What? Oh, good. That's a good coincidence. But yeah, look, we've seen some pretty piss poor fight choreography in some fan films, and I don't slight them really that bad over it. But the fight choreography in this is very good, and the young actress is, I think, really commanding in the role. I think she's very convincing. She's good. She's good in all the emotional scenes she has to do, and she's good at the fight choreography. Because there's some really intricate fights that we were just briefly talking about that she does, and it's really impressive.
Yeah, she has a great physical presence. A lot of acting, like a lot of people write off how important physical acting is. Like you'll hear this all the time when people, not as much now, but I remember, around 2008 to 2010, people were saying, "Oh, let Mark Hamill or Kevin Conroy play live action Batman or Joker." I'm like, no, they're great voice actors, but there's a whole component to physical acting that just is not being kept in mind here. And it's more than just they don't look like the characters physically. There's like just this whole sense of how you carry yourself on screen, and this actress does a really good job of it. She has such a weight and an anger to her without having to tell you I'm angry.
Yeah.
She just the way she like when all the guys pull up and they all like get in the line to shoot her, and she's just standing there and kind of like looks over her shoulder with the blood drenched face. God, that's like such a look on her face, and like her eyes bloodshot red too. I don't know if that was a makeup effect or what, but it looks great. She just looks feral, which is kind of the whole thing behind X23 in a really cool way. She looks like she's just part animal at that point.
You know what I was reminded of at that last scene of her confronting the Arby? I was actually reminded of the film Yojimbo. I don't where our hero, our nameless samurai, is coming across this grouping of an army of samurai or bandits or whatever you want to call them. I guess samurais, and he just whips through them to the point where it's like, oh, I guess it was a more fair fight. Oh, and this, I mean, that was the first thing that crossed my mind when I started watching it, and I was just as into that, and she was convincing to that point. So, yeah, that was a really well crafted piece.
Yeah, I thought so too. The emotional beats she has of just like seeing her friend die and all that stuff. It's such a short scene because after she gets the bullet out of her head, she's kind of just in kill mode the whole time. But just that brief little moment where she's like, what just happened before she gets shot? It's a great range of emotion of surprise and shock and then horror and then bang again. There's a lot, really a quick range that happens there, and it's pretty impressive. So I gotta give it props for that. Can I talk about stupid fan nitpicky thing because I'm a nerd?
Sure.
Okay, so not only is the bad guy dead at the end of this, but Laura's dead too. Because she got in the water. And no one will ever convince me that X23 or indeed Wolverine himself should be able to survive getting in the water. Because they would sink and die.
It's,
it's not anything. I'm not holding it against the fan film. It's just like a thing I've always thought about where I'm like, yeah, no, there's no way in hell either of them could ever swim. You, like, push them in a swimming pool and they're dead. It's over.
Well, couldn't they just walk out?
Depends on, like, you gotta think about water pressure and weight. Carry something metal around in a pool, even if it's just like a chain or something, it gets like twice the weight. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, it's comic books.
Yeah, no, totally. I just thought it was funny because like I saw that, it just immediately went to my head with that thing I always think about whenever I see, Wolverine swimming in a comic or something.
Well, look, I always think about, if you're going to get into that, I always think about when I see Wolverine's teeth.
Yeah, oh, that is
like,
weird.
are those animanium too, or like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know how Stryker would have... Okay, this is, like, way too other things, but this is actually a good point, though. Because I don't know a ton about X23's origin, but I thought it was weird because the premise they seem to be going with here is that this woman that dies in this... somehow was taking care of her or helped raise her in some way, shape, or form, including when she found out about her powers. Mm-hmm. That's the implication I got. It's weird, though, that she has metal claws from the beginning. And that is... It's still slightly a fan nitpicky thing, but, like, the whole thing with X23 and, Wolverine is the metal's grafted onto the skeleton. It's not metal claws naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, I just saw that and I was like, yeah, that's a little... I don't know if they thought about that or not.
I can't remember the specifics and details on her origin. I know, obviously, she's a clone of Wolverine, and they grafted metal to her. She's X23 because she was the 23rd try, and she worked out. As far as the details, like when she was activated, when she was alive, and that stuff I don't know. And if you're talking like film adaptations, that could be anybody's guess. Like, whoever made the movie or TV show is going to pick then.
No, that's totally fair. Something I noticed and thought about, since we're kind of talking about a lot of the peripheral stuff on this, since there's not much story to dig into,
Yeah.
What did you think of the portrayals of the villains here?
That's a good question. That's a good question. They were unsympathetic and hateful, and I wanted to see them dead. Yeah. So, good job.
I don't know. I get a little cannon fodder feel to it sometimes. When it's just like this. And there's clearly choices made to try to make these guys as unsympathetic as possible. And it's not a matter of like, oh, she should listen to their side. No, fuck these guys. It's just...
How dare X23 not listen to them? She's just as bad.
Yeah, when you really think about it. Isn't she the real villain?
Yes.
No, like, I totally, like, am fine with her just going through. It's just, I don't know, it seems like kind of the easy choice to just not really give any screen presence or anything to these guys. Like, okay, how do we know that these guys are truly the bad guys? Well, one of them tries to rape somebody, and the other guy seems totally cool with it. I'm like, okay. And then, like, they call that woman that they're gonna rape a whore. Okay, yeah, fuck these guys, definitely, sure, whatever. It's just, okay, generic cannon fodder kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it works effectively. It's just, I don't know, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, it's a choice that they made that doesn't really... It's a choice that is entirely obvious why the choice was made the way it was. which is because they wanted to convey cool action. They didn't want you to think about the villain at all.
Yeah, I would say so. Any complaint we have on character story, I think it's by design.
Yeah.
And it's kind of obvious. I mean, if they're, because there could be, thin plot or thin characters, and that can sometimes be, through just a lack of talent or lack of forethought. But that's not the case here.
No, it's clearly they wanted to do a film that's like about cool action and stuff like that. And so they didn't want to focus on trying to craft a villain or really much of a character on X23's part. They just wanted you to sympathize with her and enjoy seeing her kick ass and take names.
It gets a tiny bit repetitive. Like, okay, we're going to kill this group of assholes.
Yeah, I was
now we're going to kill this group of assholes.
And now I'm going to hunt down this guy and kill him. And I'm like, okay, I guess. I was waiting to, see if it was leading to something or if he was going to, anything was going to be revealed about him. It's just, no. It's just murder rampage. I'm like, okay, it's fine.
Yep.
But,
yeah.
Anything else we can talk about with this one? It is very, very brief.
I rather enjoyed the moment when he gets thrown into the water and Laura pulls her Jason Voorhees bit, like coming up behind him and stabbing him. Like, oh, okay, that was nice. I don't know if that was a reference or a riff, but it was nice. I liked it.
Yeah, it was a bit surprising, in a cool way. So it was fine. I'm trying to think of anything else. Like I said, I really liked all the makeup effects. I thought the woman that dies, I thought she looked, really shockingly brutalized, and so it was really hard just to look at her in the very beginning, and I think that's kind of what they were going for. So they did a good job on that. The makeup on Laura, particularly the dried and caked blood, it looks really, really good too. Also, small little thing that we didn't mention with the actors, they did a pretty good job casting younger Laura. I thought that was, a pretty decent likeness.
That's a good point.
And the younger actress did a good job too. All right. Well, you want to go ahead and go on to ratings then?
Yeah, sure. What the hell? Let's do it.
All right.
I rather like this film, although I think it does require you to have some kind of knowledge about the Logan film or lore or whatever. And there's not much story to it. There's not much character, but that is very obviously by design, and they definitely want you to focus on how cool this action is. So, yeah, really good. I'm going to have to give it... I'm going to go with 4 out of 5 dead racist.
Fair. I pretty much agree with everything you said there. I just... Because there isn't much to get invested in and dissect on that end, I just don't really see myself ever going back to this. I find it... that it's a bold choice to present something just without any real context. Just one video on its own YouTube channel. I find that to be an odd choice with something like this because I more kind of want to subscribe to them to see what other action sequence kind of films they'll do in the future, and I probably can't because I don't think anything else is going to be uploaded to the channel. So, I mean, maybe I'll look up the names and follow it, but I don't know. Debatable decision there, and so not really a lot to get invested in, so I'm going to go slightly lower than you and just say a 3.5 out of 5. Fucking heads just in the middle of the road. Oh, man. Alright, next week we'll be reviewing a fan film that has, just came out rather recently, a couple weeks ago. It'll be a couple more weeks by the time it's posted. We'll be reviewing a fan film requested. It's called Uncharted Live Action Fan Film 2018, starring Nathan Fillion.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yep, should be a good time. So, everyone please join us for that. Until next time, though, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the realist.
And we are your geeky gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.